Alright, everybody, it is me once more, back again to tell you things from inside my head. And today's things has been stimulated by me actually watching a documentary on Wicca and witchcraft and paganism, which was actually not bad. Most of the tone of it was quite positive, but it was still like the simplistic stuff. You know, the fire festivals, the lunar festivals, and all that kind of stuff, and a bit of a mention of, honouring ancient traditions, and that was all rather good. But this is part of where the problem lies. Because if people are getting interested in the attempt to do something strange using apparently uh, supernatural phenomena created deliberately as a result of using consciousness, it doesn't necessarily fit the bill. Now, I know that with some people who are practitioners of various different types, the only way in which they can manipulate energies because they're so used to doing it, the mind-body connection, the access to the tools, the physical manipulation of the tools, the words being said. That's maybe the only way in which they can manipulate energy. But that means that the only instruction they can give, because the only thing that they can understand is the physical stuff they're manipulating, and some of the things which they are saying, the words and maybe the visualizations, they're not analyzing state of mind. Because I think it's analyzing state of mind and choosing to train yourself in specific states of mind for specific apparent skills or tasks or perspectives or whatever it is you're doing, which is essentially where the discussion and debate should actually be. We should be focusing much more on the subject of how our consciousness interacts with the world, because our consciousness is all about the affecting of the energy field, the aura, and that's where essentially a lot of this stuff comes from. Okay, it's supposed to be about the shifting of the energy, because that can shift meaning, and then meaning can then shift things in the outer world, which is the whole mystery of the as above so below thing, I understand. So thinking about it like that means that the different attitudes which I've spoken about in the previous video is talking about different attitudes of state of mind. That's essential. I mean, I've been to psychic fairs and I've spoken to other practicing psychics, and they would use instructions like think outwardly. Okay, well, that's an interesting use of words, but can you try and define in much greater detail precisely how I should be feeling my sense of perspective in the here and now? How should I be perceiving? In what way should I be either looking or listening or thinking? What particular senses should I be, or imagined sensory perception I should be trying to focus on when doing this? And it leaves an awful lot open. You see, it leaves a lot open. Maybe you can get some kind of feeling. Maybe this is actually the purpose of ritual, to, in some variety of poetic way, to try and describe to you, using theatrical means, what the state of mind could be, or might be, or should be, when doing a particular thing. That kind of makes some sense to me, rather than necessarily focusing on the the superstitious aspect of you've got to do, I don't know, this type of wood has got to be used, and that type of candle, and this type of ritual with whatever, because your concerns about those things ends up distracting you from anything else. Oh no, I lit my candle 5 minutes after the planetary hour or something like that. People go really, really worried about this kind of stuff. And I don't think that that is conductive to what you're trying to do. I mean, Anton LaVey spoke about the ritual circle being a psychological decompression chamber, because you're moving into this place that looks mystical, it feels mystical. You got candles, you got incense, you maybe got Tibetan singing bowls, I don't know, whatever it is, it's creating this kind of thing going on here. So, the ritual work creates through art an expression of state of mind. But the ritual place or circle or whatever it is itself, in its physical form, is in fact just stage props. right? But you're both the actor and you're the audience at the same time. But what if you could work out the ways in which that particular ritual was supposed to be adjusting your perception, your intention, your attention, and you could reproduce that purely in meditation by yourself, including the right quantity of energy that you would need to raise as a result of your chanting or whatever. That would be a challenge, but that's essentially what it should be about. That's essentially the real magic. It's the ability to change your energy field around your body, to change its shape, to change its energy, the emotions it carries, the information it carries. This is why Barbara Ann Brennan is a much better author for you than Aleister Crowley or Gerald Gardner. Because her writings gets you to focus on the aura and on the energy fields and how people act and speak and how that affects the dynamic of what's going on with them. And also, if you develop some energy sensitivity, you can start to see how the auric interplay is operating between people periodically when you're lucky enough to have that kind of vision, because all your ducks have got to be in a row. Now, if, let's say, the magical view of the world is that of interconnected forces, surely it's best to understand what those forces could be and should be and are in order to understand how they play out in the outer world. So again, that's why Barbara Ann Brennan is a better author for you than Aleister Crowley or Dion Fortune or any of the other greats from the occult tradition, the way it was during the various revivals in those times. State of mind, shape of mind energy, texture of reality, texture of the experience, mood of the experience. Working out what type and quality of meditative states and forms of awareness or focused concentration needs to be done, and how the prayerful state itself needs to be manipulated up and down. Practicing with binaural beat generators was good for that, because you learn how to feel what a delta wave feels like and an alpha wave and so on and so forth. And if you can feel it and you can train yourself to feel it, maybe you can do something analogous when you're in your meditation, because you can conjure it up. What did it feel like? Well, that state of mind. So there is a sense of up and down in terms of, spiritual energy, in terms of different levels of consciousness, definitely. Again, how all this interplays with the physical, I don't know. How all this interplays with the physical body, I don't know. We can but guess. We can study the writings of all these people. We can try and put ideas together and correlate this, that, and the other with our experiences, and see whether we can progress in our own knowledge of our own, in inverted commas, magic. That's got to be what a serious aspect of the path of magic should really be about, surely. And therefore that sensitivity to self, that sensitivity to what goes on inside you, how you are energetically in different environments with different people, all of this is just like layers of understanding of how you're building your own magical wisdom, so to speak, your own energetic understanding, your understanding about the outer world. We can't say we do the magic that works, but we can say we do energy work. And the energy work itself can sometimes lead to something really rather mind-blowing, miraculous, scary. But these things are rare. So because they're rare, the kind of like self-awareness aspect, which is not proper self-development, but it's self-awareness, appears to be an important way of living. This is what I think, this is what I really think is the case when it comes to training and when it comes to lifestyle. And the more you practice the opening up, the more different things happen. And let's say you're not someone who believes in the fairies, but hey presto, maybe one day you see one and you think, eh, little stuff like that. Anyway, I've rambled on enough for now, and I will ramble on again later, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.